Hi everyone, tonight I'm going to be polishing 4 Petoskey stones on my new Kingsley North cabbing machine. I've got 2 from Lake Michigan, 2 from Lake Huron, and I've got some safety equipment here. I've got my safety glasses, my respirator, and I've been wearing AirPods Pro lately. These have noise cancellation in them, so it helps a little bit with the noise. They're earplugs, plus they cancel the noise. It doesn't take out all the noise, but it helps a lot. I like to listen to podcasts, so tonight I'm going to be listening to Jimmy Akin's Mysterious World. I've been enjoying that one lately. Over here I've got a fan. The reason there's a fan here is because when you're doing a larger rock like this, it's a little different than doing a little cab. With a cab, it's pretty easy to keep track of where you're at. On this, there's just so many parts of it. I mean, you got to get all the way around here, and you kind of got to work the edges separately. You got to get the back. So what I do is working on the first wheel, and then I set it over here to dry, and I'll grab another one and work on that one while that's drying. The scratches are a lot easier to see on a dry Petoskey stone, so I think a fan's a really nice addition if you're not using that to dry in between. It really helps see the bad spots, and then you can go hit them again. So let's get started. Well, that's improving a lot already. That pattern's really popping out on that. I said I was going to dry it off between these wheels. It's really on the softer wheels that you have to worry about that a little bit more. So I just smoothed it out a little bit here. This is where I'm going to really start paying attention and making sure I don't miss any spots. I don't know if you can see them, but I've got little flat surfaces on here from these hard wheels. These other wheels have some give to them. They're backed with like a foam stuff. So the rock pushes into it and it takes off those flat spots. You always want to keep the rock moving though. If you have it just sitting in one spot, it tends to wear that flat pretty quickly. Just thought of something I wanted to point out. You see these little white spots here? Sometimes people get all done polishing one by hand and they spend a ton of time on it, and there's these little white spots around. Those white spots are taken out in these first wheels. You got to go deep enough into the rock to smooth all that stuff out. So you see those little white specks right there? Those will look really bad at the end. So I got to make sure I go deep enough into the rock to remove those. This is going to be a pretty nice rock. Looks really good down here. Well, this is shaping up much better than I thought it would. That's actually a really nice rock. So I'm going to dry this off and show you what it looks like dry, because it's not going to look nearly as good that way, but we've got 3 more wheels to go. Here it is dried off. I think I still have a couple of white spots I need to get rid of right here and right here, maybe a little bit there. So I think I'm going to spend just a little bit more time in this wheel, and then I'm going to move it on to the next wheel. Here's how it looks after the 600 wheel. It's got a little bit of shine. This is dry. It does have some white spots here, so I think I might need to go back maybe to the wheel before that, the 280 wheel, and grind those a little bit more. I'm going to try to get those out of there. I don't know if they'll come out or not. But this is looking really, really nice. As you might have noticed, oh, I missed a spot there too. Got a little dent in it right there. I don't know how I missed that. You might have noticed as I was doing this, I was feeling the edges. I'm feeling for flat spots, and there's a little bit right along in there. I got to spend a little more time. This feels pretty good, but you can feel them better than see them, especially when the stone's wet. So I'm going to go back a wheel and work on this a little bit more. I got to get that little nick I just found right there, get that out of there, and then just work on these white spots a little bit. So I'm backing up a wheel. I think that looks better. Got rid of that bad spot on the end. Still some white spots, but they're not as bad, I don't think. I'm just going to move on to the next wheel. So onto this wheel, that's the 1200 wheel, and then we got the 3000 wheel, and then we'll be ready for ZAM. Did I mention that I was happy with how this is shaping up? This is dry after the 1200 wheel. So let's move on to 3000. Well, there it is, dry after the 3000 wheel, so that's the last wheel. I do have a cerium oxide disc on the end here, but I'm going to save that for cabs. I don't want to use it on these big Petoskey stones. So I'll do what I usually do and hit this with some ZAM at this point. I really don't know if I can get any shinier than that. I don't know if you can see the reflection of this light bulb in there, but it's pretty crystal clear. So let me show you the ZAM. ZAM is a polishing compound. It's made for soft metals like silver. Final polish for gold as alternative to rouge. So I use a Dremel, which this is a pretty small wheel for this this Petosky stone. I do have a big wheel that I put on my drill press sometimes, but the drill press is in the other room and I really don't feel like going to get it, so I'm just going to do it this way. If you ever buy ZAM, I was given this, actually the guy who gave me my first cab machine that I just replaced with this one, he gave me this also, and it was already open and used a little bit. Apparently they don't come with a top on it, so there's no lid on it. This stuff's hard as a rock. Well, that's an exaggeration. It's hard, and people get it and they think it's dried out and they don't know how to apply it. You need to have some sort of a buffing wheel. So this is spinning really fast. When I put it on there, see it turns green. So it takes that kind of melting it to release it. So if you ever get this stuff and it seems like it's dried up, it probably isn't. So it's not a wax either. I've had people think that it's a wax. It actually has an abrasive in it. I don't know if that's making any difference or not, but I'm going to go over the whole rock like this. Doesn't take long. Need to get a little more ZAM on there. You can tell it's not green anymore, so it needs to be recharged. So I'll do this and show it to you in a minute. I don't think that did any good. I didn't hurt anything, but it was really shiny before I put the ZAM on it, and the ZAM didn't change that too much. So there's polished with this machine. This would have only taken me a few minutes if I wasn't spending half the time talking to you and moving cameras around and stuff. But here's, if you ever watch my video on hand polishing or Petosky stone, this is a nicer Petosky stone, but that's hand polished, and this is polished on the machine. And I think the machine one looks a little bit better. I'm looking at the reflection of the light. That one's a little hazier. That's a little more crisp. But they both look really good. So if you've tried doing it by hand and you think, oh my gosh, it takes forever. This took like an hour and I didn't even do the back. This I can just do in just a few minutes. So if you want to step up your speed, get yourself a cabbing machine. This is awesome. So I'm going to do the other ones. Let's do this other Lake Michigan one next. That has a big spot there I need to grind out, so I'm going to spend a lot of time on that first wheel to get that out of there. But I'm just going to show you the end result. I don't think you need to watch all the steps along the way. That'll get a little boring. Okay, I have to show you something. I did not follow my own advice, and I didn't dry this off. I just finished with this wheel, the 1200 wheel. I haven't dried it off at all. There's a couple scratches right there that I'd like to take out. But look at this side. I didn't see that at all. I thought that looked great. There's also this that I can grind out, but I'll have to go back to like maybe the second wheel, the hard wheel. Everything else is coming along really nicely, but I really got to start following my own advice. Let's get this wet. Look how that looks wet. And that's why you dry it off. So back to work for me, and I'll show you this when it's done. Okay, here it is all finished up and dried off. That's quite a shine. It turned out just really good. Really a lot better than I thought it was going to. I ended up grinding off quite a bit in here. I took it down probably 1/4 of an inch. And it wasn't just in that area. There would have been a big dip there, so I took this whole end down. All right, there's the Lake Michigan ones. Time to do the Lake Huron ones now. I'm going to start with this one, which might actually be a little disappointing when I grind through all this, but we'll see. Well, I couldn't have been much more wrong about this rock, and I was starting to feel bad, feeling like the Lake Michigan rocks were going to outshine my local Lake Huron rocks, my home team rocks. Look at this one. That black that I thought there was just a little bit of Petoskey on the top of. I hadn't looked toward the back of the rock here. I don't even remember where it was, but it's all kind of a light color back here, and the black was on top of the light, and I just didn't look at it closely enough. So that black came off. There was only a thin layer of black, and there was all this beautiful Petoskey underneath. So that's the best one yet. A little bit of a bad spot here. I probably could have ground that out a little bit more. I actually went back and ground some of this. I don't mind the dark, but where it's dull looking like that, I'd rather grind that out. But wow, that's awesome. This has just been an evening full of surprises. So next one up is this one. So we'll see what happens. So this I might be able to grind off now that I'm looking at these right. There is the lighter colored stuff behind and darker on the top, so I might be able to grind some of that off. I got some pretty crummy stuff here and here, which I think we're just going to have to live with, but let's see what happens. See, here's another thing though. See that bad looking stuff here? That might just go right through to there. It's really hard to tell. And maybe there's just a little bit of light colored on top of the dark. I don't know what's going to happen with this one. I don't think it'll be as good as the last one though, but let's see. Here's the last one. I'd say it's the least surprising of the bunch. Although this bad spot shined up better than sometimes they do. So I didn't have to grind too deeply. There is a little hole there that I didn't bother grinding out. But I'd say that turned out about as expected. So here's the other ones. Lake Michigan rock number 1. Lake Michigan rock number 2. Lake Huron rock number 1. That's my personal favorite by quite a bit. And Lake Huron rock number 2. I got a link here for a playlist of other Petoskey stone polishing videos I've done. One of the very first videos I ever made was how to hand polish a Petoskey stone. I've also got videos on how to tumble Petoskey stones, how to partially tumble Petoskey stones, how to pick out good Petoskey stones. So check out that playlist and I'll see you next time.